Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. I'm Kristy Boyd Johnson, and I am delighted to welcome our guest today, Susan Sloat. Let me just tell you a little about her, but first, when you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's been programmed into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and our lives. Welcome to the place where chronically means healthy, wealthy, joyful, and ridiculously alive. Let's flip the script together. Okay, now let me introduce you to Susan Sloat. She is a best-selling, award-winning author of 26 published books, ranging from long-form fiction and nonfiction to young adult fiction, biography, sports, and history. She founded a literacy program that put published authors in 13 local schools and a program that reached over 10,000 students in a single day. She is currently engaged on her most ambitious project to date, writing a book and lyrics for a brand new stage musical. And our topic today is the healing power of music. Welcome, Susan. I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm so happy to be here, Kristy. This is very exciting.
It is. It is. So just a little personal. Susan and I met via LinkedIn. We connected and started chatting, and I felt like you guys need to meet this lady. So she's here with us today.
That is, I reached out to you. I was like, you know what? This is somebody I need to meet. She's excited about all the things I'm excited about. So, and when it turns out we finally got a chance to talk, it turns out we are both excited about the same things. Which is wonderful.
That was very fun
Yes,
conversation.
very.
Well, Susan, I read the very brief bio about you, but tell us a little bit more about you and how you became an author, your story. I'd like to know how you got here.
How I got here. Somebody asked me recently, when did you start writing? And I said pretty much when I was about 7 years old. As soon as I could hold a pencil, I had already, started reading little books because I'd learned to read at 6. And it was like, you always get that instinct, I can do this. And so I had ideas in my head and I started writing them down and I never stopped. So now what I tell people pretty much is, what you were saying is that I have written a lot of different types of books. I've written nonfiction, I've written fiction, I've written history, I've written sports, I've written biography. And when people say to me, what kind of author are you? They're expecting to hear, romance writer, mystery writer, whatever. I tell them I'm a multi-genre author, which basically means I can't make up my mind. I go back and forth between my young adult stories, which I literally grew up on. I grew up on, Nancy Drew and Connie Blair and Donna Parker and all these people that I adored and still read, by the way. I will never donate my Nancy Drew books because I'm still reading them. And loving those. And at the same time, wanting to write stuff that's a little more complex, a little bit more mainstream, and having done that as well. And the latest thing right now is the musical, which is incredibly exciting for me because it is based on a novel that I first read 40 years ago, that at the time I read it was already 30 years old. So I'm incredibly, incredibly excited about that.
Yes, well, that's fascinating to me because I do know, so writing books is a different animal from writing a stage play or a screenplay. And so how did you get interested in writing stage plays?
Well, that started pretty much when I was 14. I had just finished a musical summer theater program, and I was bored. I wasn't ready to go back to school yet. And I got the idea for a musical. And in a week, I had written the book and lyrics for the musical. I was 14. That should tell you something right there. Okay. You're much more easily satisfied when you're 14 because you don't understand all the other stuff that goes on. But interestingly enough, In high school, I actually wrote my first straight play, a 3-act play that took me a long time to write. And interestingly enough, when it got to the end, I finished it when I was 19. And 2 weeks later, a major event in the play actually occurred on live television. I had no way of knowing this was ever going to happen. I had no connection to the people I was writing about, but it actually did happen. And I know that's very strange, but I have spoken to other authors who have written something that then comes true. And it's
Well,
just when it happens.
what was it? What
Oh,
was
well,
it?
I can tell you. The original play was actually based on the relationship between Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. Okay. And the play ended, the entire third act took place backstage at one of the telethons that Jerry Lewis pretty much did. I mean, there were obviously other character names and different circumstances, but it was really about two people who broke up a comedy team, how they went their separate ways and how they ended up reuniting. And the story was that they reunited on the telethon, right? 2 weeks later, without my having any idea that that was going to happen, it did happen in the middle of the night. It was a very big news story and a very big deal. They hadn't seen each other in 20 years, and Frank Sinatra brought them together on the stage, and it was just an unbelievable moment. It was really exciting.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. No way of knowing how that's going to happen. Now, I will tell you that very sadly, after that reunion, they did not really see each other again until after Dean Martin's older son, Dean Paul Martin, was killed in a flying accident, which was so tragic. And the two of them got to the point where they saw each other a lot. And it was just, they were sort of lost in their own grief, and it was so hard, But the thing is, that moment on the telethon when they hadn't seen each other, and it's really interesting because Jerry was totally flummoxed by the whole thing when they brought him out. And he looks at me and says, "So you're working?" And Dean said, "Yeah, I get a few weeks at the MGM Grand." It was a very cool moment. It was. I had no way of knowing it was going to happen. It was like out of the ether. Something permeates and you just go ahead with it. So that was very exciting.
Yeah, in the zone. Yeah,
definitely.
Well, how did you get interested in music? Do you have a background in music, or what?
Actually, I do. My mother my mother wanted to sing on the musical stage. She actually went to college to try to get a degree where she was going to be able to sing on the musical stage. And they told her, she went to the Eastman School of Music in Rochester, and they told her, if you want to sing on the musical stage, we are not the best place for you to be. You really sort of need to be in New York, close to the theater, because at the time they were doing many, many wonderful, wonderful musicals. And so what happened was she came to New York. She lived there for 8 years until she got married. And then she moved to the New York suburbs and stayed there forever. But the main thing really is that she wanted to sing like South Pacific and Guys and Dolls and all that kind of thing. And so she came, she took classes, she studied with voice coaches, that kind of thing. And when I was born, she basically poured all that music into me. I literally grew up knowing all of this stuff from a very, very young age, extremely, always loved it. And in fact, one of the stories I may tell you later actually involves the fact that when I was 7 years old, she played the Nutcracker Suite for me, which was a record that she had with Toscanini conducting. Really fabulous, beautiful recording. To this day, I remember every note, every line, every orchestration. I mean, everything. Love it to death. But the point is that I grew up knowing this stuff as well as I knew the alphabet. And to this day, I can sing most of the songs from that era that came out of things that became cast albums. And I can sing them all because they were played for me over and over as a child.
Yeah,
it was great.
That's amazing.
She also sang to me, she did. Oh, it was wonderful. It was
and
great.
With you as you got older.
What's interesting to me is that we, as her children, there were 3 of us, we did not realize what a beautiful voice she had. And, you don't think about it because you're a child and, hey, that's your mom, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she would sing the Star Spangled Banner at a ball game and be like, Mom, please, please. But what's interesting is 2 nights before she passed away, my brother who was living with her called me and said, I'm going to put the phone up to her mouth and I want you to just listen. Don't say anything, just listen. I said, okay. I didn't know what I was going to hear. He put the phone up to her. She was basically semi-conscious at this point. She was in hospice. She was singing. My mother with her beautiful voice was singing. I couldn't identify what she was singing, but she was singing. And it was the most beautiful thing. I wish I had a recording of it, but I will never forget what it sounded like to hear that voice one more time. It was magical, just wonderful. Oh God, it was a wonderful thing. Yeah. I mean, talk about having them with you. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. Was she soprano, alto? Do you know?
She was a mezzo soprano.
Mezzo.
And she never let me forget it. Yeah. So when we would talk about like Shirley Jones, who starred in Oklahoma on the screen, she would say, oh, she's a lyric soprano. I'm a mezzo soprano. The idea being supposedly that mezzos, at least according to her, had a richer tone or something. And it was just, my mom was a bit of a snob. So there we were. What can I tell you? I can't even tell you. I couldn't identify a mezzo now, probably. But hearing her was just amazing. She did have a beautiful voice.
Yeah. Oh, I love that story. That's a wonderful story.
Isn't it?
It's sad, but it's that part of what makes it wonderful.
Oh, it was. My brother also called my sister at the same time and told her that, he let me listen to her for about a minute and then he called my sister so she could continue to hear. And the two of us together, we've talked about it, what a great thing it was to hear that voice one more time. Something we never expected to have happen. And the fact that he grabbed the phone and called us both immediately was just, what a wonderful instinct. So glad.
Yes. So you grew up in a musical household. Music was infused into your soul. And then how
and I was also trained in music. My mother insisted from the time I was 7, I was taking piano lessons. Around the age of 9, I played the violin for a year. And then around the age of 12, I started taking guitar lessons. So I was not only singing and hearing music, but I was playing music all the time. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish what you're going to say.
Oh no, that's important. That's an important detail. Well, I'm lost my train of thought, but that's okay. I was wondering, growing up with music. So in high school, did you participate? Did you do musicals? Maybe high school, college? Did you do musicals?
I wanted to be. I was actually in musicals younger than high school because I was in a theater program that lasted a couple of years. So I ended up doing a very, very, very old musical at the time. It was actually on Broadway in 1917. I did that at the end of the summer theater program I had told you about. And then in the fall, I continued on with the theater program. And the big musical at that time that we did was Anything Goes. So I'm actually in that. I think, well, okay, I'm going to be an actress. And then I discovered something momentous when I was about 17, and that was I had no talent. And it's like, you're really going to struggle if you have no talent. You're trying to be, that's really hard. And so I realized at that time, having spent my entire childhood and adolescence writing, that writing really made more sense. And that was pretty much that, and literally what's interesting is I made a decision of a career choice while I was playing music on the piano. How about that? Yeah. I was playing Cole Porter's Begin the Begin, which is not your standard, 12-bar song, 16-bar song. And it was a long song. And at the beginning of the song, I was thinking about being an actress. And by the end of the song, I realized I was going to be a writer. And that was that.
Oh, that's amazing. I love how things come together. Okay.
They do.
We're going to take a little pause here, Susan, and take a little break, but we'll be right back. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this short message.
When you look in the mirror, do you see skin that's just dry, tired, and stressed? It's time for a new ritual. Introducing Deep Love, the blue botanical face cream by Coolness. We've captured their tranquil essence of blue botanicals in a cloud-soft formula that deeply soothes irritation and restores your natural, healthy glow. This isn't just skincare, it's an act of self-care. It's deep love. Find your calm only at coolness.com. Scan the QR code now to visit our website.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. I'm Kristy Boyd Johnson, and I'm here with our guest today, author Susan Sloat. Susan, what you were telling us about your journey with music, which is absolutely wonderful. And I was thinking about how connecting music is. Music just connects people. So I'm thinking that so does writing, because a book can impact you in ways that very few other things can. So I'm wondering have you experienced that, how things can connect and how music can bring people together?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, what's interesting is music as a connective force is literally the subject of my latest novel, Scenes from a Song. It is definitely all about that. And interestingly enough, that was another situation that started in an interesting way because I was going through a Beatles phase, which probably a lot of people from my stage of life go through on a fairly regular basis. And I was about to join a writing marathon, NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, which is basically where you do this insane sprint for 30 days to write 50,000 words of an original novel. I don't even know how to tell you what that feels like, but let's just say I did it a lot. NaNoWriMo is no longer with us, but in 2018, my NaNoWriMo novel was Scenes from a Song. And it came out of a musical clip that I saw from Paul McCartney on YouTube. YouTube is so great. It was one of my favorite Beatles songs, and he closed a concert with it. And I was watching the audience. There were lots and lots of shots of the audience. And one of the things that fascinated me was the reaction from the audience. Everybody knew this. They're singing, and you know every word. They're dancing, which is wonderful. And some of them are crying. And I thought, why would you cry at an upbeat song? But obviously, the song evoked memories. It was old. People had been living through a long time, and they would cry, and it was just very moving. And when I started Scenes from a Song, I thought, I want to write about a song that brings people together and helps people's lives change positively and moves people. And so I wrote about this 1960s band that experiences explosive success. It's an American band. It's really not the Beatles, even though there are many, many parallels. But there is a song in their repertoire that becomes an almost immediate hit and that follows them even all the years that they are not playing together. And this song not only expresses what one of the band members himself feels on losing his father, but also years later, other people who are going through really difficult times hear the song during those times, and it helps to comfort them and heal them and help them get through what they need to get through. So it's a very unusual story. The only book I've ever written where the hero is actually a song. It's inanimate, but I feel like some level, even though I actually wrote an original song lyric to describe the song in the novel, and I feel like that makes a very big difference. It really does. So that's what it is, and it's been the interesting thing about it is many of the people who have read it have told me they cannot get through the book without crying, which I love. The first person who told me that called me on a Sunday night after reading it. She was a friend that I had asked to look at it because I didn't know if I had anything worthwhile. And she said, I cried so hard reading this. And I'm so happy you said that, because while I was writing it, there were times I was crying so hard I couldn't see the keyboard. And it made me feel much better. And people have read it and they appear to be very moved. And that to me is wonderful. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for something that brings you such a strong emotional connection that it's going to also bring tears. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm just trying to get people to respond emotionally, and they do.
Well, that I don't see that as hurt. I don't think people see that as hurt. I think they see that as healing, because that's the kind of crying that when your heart is touched so much that you actually cry, that's a deep, deep inner healing happening there. That's a beautiful thing. So, and that's our.
I have a friend who read it only recently, and she said, I'm tough. I'm not going to cry at this. And she comes out. I saw her later, and she said, okay, I finished it. And I said, well, why are you kind of scowling at me? She said, I cried. I didn't want to. I thought I wasn't going to, but
I cried. Darn it. That's funny.
That was exactly her reaction. It was so funny. It was. I was like, yeah, you're tough, I'm sure. Underneath you're a marshmallow, just like the rest of us, right?
Well, music definitely has that power. And I have to know, what was the Beatles song that was at the end of the concert? What song was that? The
Beatles song is my favorite Beatles song. And it's interesting because most people would have another song as their favorite Beatles song, okay? And this is one of their very first hits. My all-time favorite Beatles song, and the song that Paul McCartney played at that concert, was Please Please Me. It was their first #1 hit in Britain. And it still is a great song, and I love it. It was a great arrangement. If you can ever find that clip of Paul McCartney on YouTube, I promise you, just type in Paul McCartney, Please Please Me. You'll see him with his band. It's just an amazing piece. It's about 3 minutes long, and it's wonderful to watch. So
good tip.
Still watch it. I've watched that clip over 100 times. I was so impressed with the emotional response that he evoked from the audience at the end of that concert. It was amazing. It was just wonderful.
Yeah. So it's everything. It's not just tears. It's laughter. It's empathy. It's horror that you want to help the character. When a writer gets a character or gets the reader to want to help the character, that's an amazing thing too. All these things that can happen in a healing journey. But let's stay focused on music for a minute. So with crying, have people shared anything besides, like deeper than I cried, but like maybe how it made them think about something or how it changed them in some way? Or have they been more just...
I didn't have too many of those conversations. No, what's interesting though is that there are 3 vignettes in the book after the story of the band, which are the vignettes of the people who are helped by the music, right? 2 of those vignettes are actually based on true stories. And one of them, I'm spoiling things here, but one of them actually dealt with a very tragic incident that happened in our town, and a story that someone told me after the incident, which just haunted me. My son was in middle school at the time, and there were a number of assistant principals in the school, one of whom I had to deal with at some point about something, and she could not have been nicer. She was darling, lovely girl. And on New Year's Eve, she jumped off the bridge here in the town. It was a brand new bridge, and it was one of those things that's like one of the most horrible things you could possibly imagine. Just dreadful. Yeah.
Oh,
No one knew why she'd done it. She was very young. No one had any idea what was wrong. It was a terrible tragedy for the school. She was so loved. And anyway, the story that I was told afterwards was the one that haunted me. Apparently, there was another woman walking the bridge that night because we have walkers lanes and whatever, so people can do that. And she saw a woman who looked like she was stretching and getting ready for a run. And she's like feeling totally at peace with the world. And she raised her hand and said, "Don't jump now." And she just kept walking. And that was that. And she found out later what happened to this woman, and it just destroyed her. Oh my God, how awful, how awful, how awful. I mean, there's not much worse that you can feel than thinking that you drove someone to jump off a bridge. I mean, that's horrible. So anyway, things go on, time went on. Some weeks later, the same woman was walking the bridge again. And she saw a woman, and something just didn't look right. All the spidey senses started tingling, right? And she walked up to her and she said, "Are you all right?" And the woman would not engage with her, would not speak to her. And she said again, "Are you all right?" And again, no response, whatever. And the woman said to her, "Listen, something really, really bad happened here a while ago. I am not leaving you until I know that you're going to be okay." So they stood there together for a while, and along comes a police car. She flagged down the police car, told them what was going on. They took the woman with them, and they went to their, I guess, headquarters. And some hours later, they called this woman and they told her that they had finally gotten this woman to speak to them. And she told them if not for the woman on the bridge who had stopped, she would have jumped.
oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh,
I know. What a story. Right.
oh,
I know. I
that's
know. So I use that story. And in my story, again, spoiler alert, in my story, what happens is that this woman walking the bridge feels so horrible about the woman she just, said something flippant to and didn't realize how dangerous it was. No idea. And then when she sees this woman and she's not going to let it happen again, she says, "Look, why don't we sing?" And they sing the song that the band had written, and it makes them both feel so much better. And that is what more or less stops the woman from taking that plunge. So I couldn't not use it. That story has haunted me since the first time I heard it. Very interesting. And I recently told the person who told me the story about it. He had told me the story 15 years ago. And he said, "Oh, yeah, now that you mention it, I forgot. But yeah, that's true." Well, there you are. I know. It does have the power to do amazing things, don't you think?
Oh, we talk. That's why we do this show. You just never know what thing might reach someone. The tiniest thing, the tiniest little act of kindness can mean the world to somebody. And that woman, I mean, it's unfortunate, very sad actually, that she didn't realize the first time. But what an incredible healing she did for the second woman. How many people would rush by?
It's like if she had not had the first experience, she might have not had the sensitivity to realize what she was seeing when she saw it. So God bless her for that. And you know what that really says for so many of us is we don't realize when we have any kind of a positive attitude, how many people we're affecting with that attitude every day. It makes such a difference to be able to say hi to someone, to be able to give them a smile. When you have nothing else, give them a smile and let them know that it matters that they're there in front of you. That's just so helpful. It is.
It is. And another thing you just said, if she hadn't had the first experience, the second one might have not have turned out so positively. And I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for how far we've come. And I mean, everybody in the world is struggling on some level. Everybody has challenges. Everybody has things that they have to overcome and deal with and everything. So take a pause, you guys, give yourself a pat. You have come so far. And, you don't underestimate your accomplishments. It's or just that time that you gave someone a smile. That the power of a smile.
This is true. And you know, so people will tell me that I had an effect on them for something I said or did a long time ago. And a lot of times I can barely remember what that was. Yeah. But the fact that it meant so much to them is, I find that intensely moving. I really do. And you know something, anything that helps anyone, whatever it might be, as long as it's in a positive direction, that's got to be good. There can be nothing negative about that, don't you think?
Oh, yes. And the you know, I know myself personally, I've had to walk away from people, even in my own family, who are so intensely negative that I can't, I just, there's nothing I can do to make them be different, but I can choose peace for myself in my own life and for my immediate family, and express peacefulness in the world, you know. And music, I love that. I love that. That's amazing. So do you bring that same energy into your musical theater writing?
Well, I hope I
I'm sure you do.
This is a new thing because I haven't actually, quote, written a musical since I was 14. But let me tell you about what's going on now, because this is the most exciting and most challenging thing I've ever done in my life. It's thrilling. 40 years ago, I was working in Hollywood, my misspent youth. And I was pretty much a story analyst at a literary agency. And that meant that I was being handed stuff to read all the time and give an opinion. Does it work as a movie? Is it going to be on television? What, you know, is this something that we can use as a piece of material? And so one Friday afternoon, one of our agents handed me a book and said, listen, I just want to know, is it a movie? Take a look, read it over the weekend, tell me what you think. And I read it over the weekend, and I was never so enthralled in my life with a book as I was with this one. I was so passionate about it that when we got to the climactic moment of the story, which was several hundred pages in, I put the book down in the middle of my living room all by myself, stood up and cheered. I mean, that was the effect it had on me. It was so wonderful. And anyway, point was, it was an old book. It had been forgotten even in the 80s. But the truth is that it had been very popular in the 1950s when it first came out, but it was forgotten. There was no paperback. There'd been a book club edition, but there was no reprint. It was like the book was totally out of print. It was hard to find. But when I came in on that Monday, the agent said to me, so what do you think? Is it a movie? And I said, it's a musical. It's a musical. There's no doubt in my mind. It's a musical. Somebody should do this as a musical. Now, fast forward a long time. I never stopped thinking about this. I always kept a copy of the book with me, always, and reread it. And every time I'd reread it, I knew what I wanted to do with it and all this kind of thing. And I just never did anything. And finally, about a year or so ago, I finally just thought, you know, this is stupid. I still want to do this. Why don't I just reach out and see if there's any possibility of it? So I did reach out to the people who were the heirs to the author's estate. They had the rights now, right? And they're very nice people. And I explained what I wanted to do. And they said, sure, we would love it. If you could do anything to help our aunt, you know, recover a reputation, whatever, that would be fantastic. So we made a deal. I went to work. And what's happening right now is I am going to be writing the book, which is the script and the lyrics for the show. I do not yet have a composer, and I would love to have a composer. But this is a real golden age musical. And I mean, that goes back to Rodgers and Hammerstein, Cole Porter, Frank Lesser, all these really, really famous people who wrote classical musicals, you know, Oklahoma, South Pacific, Guys and Dolls. That's the kind of musical that I'm writing. And what's interesting is that
I'm sorry to interrupt. And sorry, hold your thought. Well, I will hold your thought. Yes. Okay, we have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. And I want to hear the rest of that thought. Stay tuned, everyone.
Everything we're made of contains light. From the sun that feeds our world to the energy that flows within us. With LifeWave X39, we've found a way to put that light to work. With X39, we achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and science that others could not. By utilizing LifeWave's unique patented technology, X39 uses light to elevate GHK-Cu, a copper peptide known to support overall health and wellness. Unlike traditional light therapy, X39 uses the body's own infrared light to naturally increase vitality. By gently stimulating the skin with light, our non-invasive, non-transdermal X39 patches help you conquer your active lifestyle and pave a new way to vibrant health. Becoming a powerhouse is easier than you think. It all starts with your body and a little help from light. Place one LifeWave X39 patch on the body. Apply the patch to clean, dry skin in the morning. Patches may be worn for up to 12 hours before discarding. Keep well hydrated while using this product. Harness your natural potential. Reclaim youthful energy. Live long, live well, live young with LifeWave X39. Be the light. LifeWave.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness, Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative power of schisandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. It's time to unlock your inner glow with Coolness. Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
Hello and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. I'm Kristy Boyd Johnson and we're here with author Susan Sloat, who is in the process of writing a stage musical. And Susan, you were just about to tell us some interesting things about this. So please continue. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
I think this is very exciting. This particular piece of information came to me from one of the people who is one of the heirs to the author's estate. He told me that back in the 1950s, when the book was first published, no less than Doris Day was interested in making it into a movie musical. Her husband, who was her agent at the time, got in touch with the author and said, look, Doris would really like to do this as a movie musical. And the author, for reasons I will never understand, said no. And what I tell people now is the reason she said no is because she was waiting for me. I hadn't been born yet, but she was waiting for me to read the book, fall in love with it, have an obsession with it, and finally decide I can do something with it.
Yeah, that is kind of strange. It's like you said no to I wonder what was going through her head at the time, but we'll never know.
No idea. But I got to tell you, the fact that it paved the way for me makes it wonderful as far as I'm concerned. And this is wonderful because the story takes place in like Salt Lake City, primarily in around 1900. So there's a lot of wonderful settings there. There's a lot of wonderful opportunities to show, and this is very important. In the music itself, there's opportunities to show the community coming together and being involved in a lot of different things. In the same way that you think of the community in Oklahoma and stuff like that, it's very much the same sort of thing. And it's really exciting to be doing this. I have no idea if I can pull it off, but I'm very, very thrilled to be doing it. That's great.
That's amazing. You have to keep in touch and let us know what's
Definitely.
happening, and especially if it's going to be produced. I have to see that on my to-do list.
It sure that you're offered opening night tickets. Definitely. We'll
That would be. I love
yep.
that.
This is a very exciting time to be doing this kind of thing, and it's very thrilling because you have a lot of things going on that we didn't have before. You have technology that was available to us now that was not available before. Plus, of course, you have the old-fashioned, I really want to do this, which is what's pushing everything. I always, when I get discouraged, I'll tell myself, well, you can stop. You don't have to do this. And immediately a voice says, yes, you do. You are meant to do this. You have to do this. Get on with it, So I push away the negative and I get moving on the positive, right? So, and the funny thing is I was thinking about it this morning. I can actually hear the overture in my head. I can hear the songs being played by the orchestra before the story starts. I mean, that's pretty exciting to me. It really is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I've had the experience of not before, but I hear music in my head all the time. And it's like so normal for me that I don't realize it's not everybody does that.
This is true. I know.
So yes. And you know what you just said, I think that's a really important thing. I mean, so many people now are struggling. They're looking for a purpose. Maybe they're locked in a job they don't love. That's, they feel is just draining their life. Although I don't believe purpose is always about your job. I think it's more about your life than it is about your job. But that was inspirational. Like, yes, you don't have to do this, but do you want to? And if you want to, go for it. Because it's because you want to. Like, I want to write a book. I want to write a play. I want to write a musical. I want to dance on a stage. I want to speak to a large audience. You can do this. That's an important message.
No, you definitely. Yeah. And I always, go ahead.
No, continue with your thought.
Do I?
We have a little lag going. So continue with your thought.
Got it. What I was going to say is that I had periods in my life when a question would come up, should I do this or not? And the formula I always used was, if I do not do this, will I regret not doing it later? And what I discovered in the course of my life is that you tend to regret what you don't do more than you regret the things that you do. And so, I mean, the things you do that may not be all that positive. But I've realized in my life, the regret of not doing something for whatever reason is a stronger regret than the fear that I'm doing something awful that I need to stop doing and that I'll feel bad about. So maybe I guess I've lived a better life than I think or something if I'm not regretting a lot there. That's good.
Oh, yes. Wouldn't it be amazing if everybody could shift right now into, let's not have regrets. You want to travel? Do you want to write that book? Do you want to, I don't know, whatever it is. There's so many creative things out there to do.
Definitely. The world is a big place.
Yes.
It definitely is.
That's an amazing message, and, we could think back to the Beatles. We could think back to them and say, what if they had said, oh, we're just going to play in the garage. We're not this is really nothing. How our world would be so different now.
Yeah. In fact, there was a movie about that a few years ago. I don't know if you saw it. It was called Yesterday. It was a story, kind of a fantasy about a guy who wants to be a musical performer. He's not doing well. His own songs are not cutting it. People don't care. And then one night he has a very strange experience. And when he wakes up, the whole world is exactly the way it was, except the Beatles were never in it. And so he suddenly realizes, I've got this great opportunity. I can take all the songs of theirs that I know, I can pass them off as my own, I can play them, and it will be a wonderful thing. And of course, the minute he starts playing these songs, people totally fall in love with him. He becomes a massive star. I mean, it's hysterically funny. It really, really is. And he ends up in a situation where he can no longer, ride on the backs of people that he stole from. And so he makes an announcement. I'm giving you their music. All I wanted to do was be the vehicle to get their stuff into this world. Remember who they are, and goes ahead and does that. And then walks away, which is very, very cool. So it's a cool movie. If you haven't seen it, it's called Yesterday. And it was really one of those things that was great fun to watch. It really was.
Yeah. There was something similar in Peggy Sue Got Married, where she got hit in the head and went back in time and tried to give her boyfriend the lyrics to one of the songs, like "She Loves You," yeah, I think is the one it was, and he kept changing the words. It was really funny because he thought that it would be better. So
in Yesterday, one of the people who appears in Yesterday is Ed Sheeran, the songwriter. And in one of the scenes, the performer is performing in the studio, and the song he's singing is "Hey Jude." And Ed Sheeran says, "Listen, guys, I have a better idea. Why don't you call it Hey Dude?" And the producer goes, "That's so much better." And he's like, "You really think it's better?" It's like, "Oh, definitely better. Call it Hey Dude." And Ed Sheeran said to him, "I'm not even going to charge you for that." I was like, "Wow, thank you very much." I just thought that was very funny.
Yeah,
I know. Imagine Hey Dude is Hey Dude.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get in on it, right? Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. See the magic. Let's see the magic. Well, so then really there's a whole musical writing creativity theme that runs everything you do. And so I'm wondering if there's ever been anything really impactful that's happened in your life around that. I mean, your mother's passing and her singing, that's a beautiful story. Has there been anything else that's kind of made it come together for you?
Well, about 2 months ago, I was actually doing another interview, and the podcast host happened to be a musician. And in the course of talking about all the things we were talking about, he said, I get the very strong impression that half of you is literary, but the other half is musical. And that's fascinating to me because from the time I learned about parallel universes, the theory of parallel universes, I always realized that if it's true that there are parallel universes somewhere, I am singing and dancing my heart out on a stage, because that's what I would really probably like to do more than anything. I can carry a tune, but the dancing part is a little bit more challenging for me. But the truth is that every time I think about it, it just makes me happy. It really does. And the fact that he recognized that and no one else had ever really recognized that, I found that to be so impactful for me, because I carried that from that period of time to now. And I'm realizing that now, in that sense, I'm the literary side, and on the other hand, I am the musical side. So would I eventually, if things go well with this musical, would I like to do another one? I'm never going to say no, because it might turn out to be the greatest thing I ever do. And that would definitely be something that mattered to me, to be able to put something out there that takes us back to that golden age and gave people a chance to sing and dance and experience joy. I mean, that's the number one thing about a musical, is the joy that you come out with, because that is what musicals are meant to do, is produce that in you. I remember reading years ago that Sally Field, the actress, her mother took her to see Oklahoma on stage when she was very young. And through the entire overture, she cried her eyes out because she wanted to be on stage doing it so badly. And I never forgot that it mattered that much to her and reached her on that visceral level, something you can't even put into words. It just mattered to her so much that she sobbed the entire time. I thought that was just wonderful. I loved it. That's pretty much on some levels the way I feel too. Definitely. I actually almost flunked a class in college because of music, because of the Nutcracker Suite. I'm not kidding. I had an astronomy class in my freshman year, and I ended up having to do a lab every week in the planetarium, which is on campus. So you'd go to the planetarium and they would open up this dome and they would talk to you about the stars. But before they did that, they would play music, I guess, to kind of get you calm and in the mood to hear all this stuff. And what they played was the Nutcracker Suite. And this played under everything that the voice doing the voiceover was doing. So, of course, I didn't hear a single word because as soon as the music started, I would just bliss out and I would sit there listening to this with the greatest of pleasure. And I never heard a single word of the lectures, and I have no idea how I passed the class at all. To this day, I have no idea how I passed. But that was what my labs for astronomy were like. You sit down, you listen to Nutcracker Suite, and life just is blissful. That was it. It was wonderful.
I love the Nutcracker Suite. The Waltz of the Flowers is my favorite. I just love that piece. But my mom, it's amazing that you keep saying, because when I was growing up, when I was in high school, one of my best friends was a ballet dancer with the San Diego Ballet Company. Oh. And they did the Nutcracker every Christmas. And every year my mom and I would go and watch the ballet and wait for our favorite pieces to come on. So yeah, that's special. That's special for me too. And I can hear the music in my head all the time. So anyone who has even the slightest bit of musical is probably going, oh, I'm not weird. This is normal.
So I feel like musicals on some level elevate you to a different level of consciousness. Maybe I'm just wrong about this, but I do feel like they take you to a different place. You're not meant to experience it in real life, but that's why I would really rather live in a musical than live in real life. That would be you do experience it in a musical, and that is the most marvelous, the most wonderful thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's true.
It's something to think about for sure.
Definitely. But Susan, we're running out of time, so let me ask you: how can people find you out in the world?
I'm very easy to find, actually, Kristy. You can actually reach me through my website, which is www.susansloat.com. You can reach me on Facebook. I have a Facebook author page, so it's facebook.com/Susan Sloat author. No spaces or anything, just Susan Sloat author. You can also reach me on Facebook in my regular life as Susan Sloat. You can find me there. And my email address is susan@susansloat.com. So on my website, you're going to find all the stuff about what's happening with me. There's a little bit of stuff about the musical, stuff about all of my books, all the things that I'm doing. And that should hopefully, anybody who wants to find me, you can definitely find me there. And I look forward to hearing from you because I do answer everything that shows up on my contact page.
Excellent. And also, I believe that the QR code goes directly to your contact page on your website too. So
yes,
you guys scan the QR code, you'll go right to her and be able to touch base. So Susan, thank you. This has been an amazing discussion, and I cannot wait to start diving into some of your books and see that musical when it's ready.
Well, I'm more excited than you probably, but I'm delighted about that. Thank you so much for having me, Kristy. I love talking about this. In fact, I could probably do another 2 hours just talking about musicals, but it is the most wonderful pleasure to be here, and I've really enjoyed it, and hope that we get a chance to talk again. So thank you very, very much, and hopefully I'll see all of you very soon. Very soon.
Thank you. Well, that's a wrap, everybody. Join us every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time at e360tv.com on the Vitality TV network, or you can find us on YouTube at Chronically Healthy Life. Swing by chronicallyhealthylife.com this week for your free 30-minute consultation with Andy and our brand new healing skincare line at coolness.com. Until then, stay vibrant, stay fierce, and stay ridiculously, unapologetically, chronically healthy. See you next Friday.